The Clippers' world is collapsing, and the cracks are getting bigger every single day. Fresh evidence has surfaced showing that a Clippers owner personally funneled an emergency payment connected to Kawhi Leonard, making Steve Ballmer's excuse about not knowing anything sound like a bad joke. This isn't just a minor violation anymore, this is an earthquake shaking the NBA. Even if Commissioner Adam Silver wanted to look the other way, fans know he can't. He has to do something. But the real question is, what's he actually going to do? Could it go as far as voiding Kawhi's contract completely, forcing him to play somewhere else? The investigation that blew this scandal open came from Pablo Torre, and the details are jaw-dropping. According to him, the eco-finance company Aspiration paid Kawhi a no-show job worth $28 million in cash and $20 million in stock. The kicker? This job came just days after Steve Ballmer himself invested $50 million into that very company. How can anyone possibly argue this isn't salary cap manipulation? Yet Ballmer insists, no, they defrauded me. I had no idea what else they were doing. But now, new evidence proves that claim doesn't hold water. Torre's report reveals that Ballmer's longtime business partner, Dennis Wong, invested $2 million into Aspiration right before Kawhi got a $1.75 million payment. Think about the timing. The company had been late in paying Kawhi. Uncle Dennis was furious, calling every single day, demanding money. Meanwhile, Aspiration was spiraling in 2022, firing 20% of its workforce and struggling to stay afloat. But suddenly, Wong wires $2 million, and almost immediately Kawhi gets his $1.75 million. That is not coincidence. It gets crazier. Wong's own daughter worked at Aspiration during the collapse, meaning he definitely knew how bad things were. Why would anyone pour millions into a sinking ship? Simple, because Wong has been best friends with Steve Ballmer since 1975. He's not just an investor, he's the only other minority owner of the Clippers. Balmer owns 99%, Wong holds 1%. And with that connection, it looks like Balmer didn't just not know what Aspiration was doing. It looks like he and his circle were keeping Kawhi's payments alive by any means necessary. So when Balmer says, that was their business, not mine, the timing and the evidence paint a totally different story. It makes it look like their business was his business, and he personally helped take care of it. And that's just the start. Because if the Los Angeles scandal wasn't enough, new details out of Toronto dig Kawhi even deeper. Toronto Star columnist Bruce Arthur says this all goes back to 2019 when Kawhi was a free agent deciding whether to stay with the Raptors. According to Arthur, Uncle Dennis came to the Raptors with a list of outrageous demands. And that list almost perfectly mirrors the shady deal Kawhi eventually got with the Clippers. First, Uncle Dennis wanted a blockbuster trade for Paul George. Check, that happened. Second, he demanded an ownership stake in the Toronto Maple Leafs, a completely separate pro sports franchise. The Raptors flat out told him it was impossible. Too obvious. Too illegal. They couldn't do it. Third, he wanted at least $10 million in guaranteed sponsorship money outside of Kawhi's contract. Now here's where it gets unbelievable. The Raptors said fine, we'll call up the biggest corporations in Canada. And those companies were all excited. They wanted Kawhi as their pitchman. They were ready to sign. But Uncle Dennis told them no. Quote, we don't want to do anything. They didn't want commercials, appearances, or even a single photo shoot. Nothing. They wanted millions of dollars for absolutely nothing. The Raptors were stunned. And in the end, they refused. But isn't it wild that this is exactly what Kawhi allegedly got from the Clippers later? The same setup, massive money, no work required. The same laziness, the same arrogance. Instead of just doing one commercial, one afternoon of his life, Kawhi's camp demanded the impossible. And when Toronto didn't bend, they bolted. This changes everything about Kawhi's legacy. Remember the story about him being the humble superstar? The guy who drove a '97 Chevy Tahoe to games? Fans thought he was cut from a different cloth. But now, the truth looks far uglier. From humble beginnings to the face of NBA greed, hidden deals, and billionaire corruption. And it's not just Kawhi's image that's collapsing. It's the entire credibility of the NBA. Fans are already furious. One wrote, NBA is becoming a joke. WWE feels more real right now. Another said, if the Clippers escape this with no punishment, I'm done with the league. And honestly, can you blame them? When billionaires can write secret checks and twist rules, what does competitive balance even mean anymore? Fans are also calling out Commissioner Adam Silver directly. His comments, that the burden is on the league to find violations, sounded more like an excuse to do nothing. But now that the receipts are public, Silver has no room to hide. Does he void Kawhi's contract? Suspend him? Strip draft picks from the Clippers? Force Balmer to sell? Every option is on the table, and none of them will fully restore the trust that's been lost. What's certain is this: Uncle Dennis's role has gone from background noise to front-page scandal. Spurs fans who once warned the world are saying, "We told you so." The messy breakup in San Antonio makes a lot more sense now. They weren't just dealing with an injury-prone superstar. They were fighting against demands they couldn't legally meet. And when they said no, Kawhi and Uncle Dennis burned every bridge on their way out. The NBA wanted Kawhi Leonard to be a quiet superstar, a machine on the court, and a role model of it. Instead, he's become the face of greed and controversy. And unless Adam Silver takes a hard stand, the message to fans will be clear: rules don't matter if you're rich enough to bend them. Because right now, the Clippers' empire isn't just caving in, it's crumbling for everyone to see. No commercials. No tweets. Nothing, except this one shady setup. Exactly what Uncle Dennis demanded years ago. And now the question is simple: how can anybody defend this? Well, one man has tried. Mark Cuban. From day one, Cuban's been saying, "I know Steve Ballmer. He's not that dumb." Outside of basketball, Balmer is respected. People who know him say he's not the type with some hidden dark side that could burn the Clippers to the ground. Sure, there was that DeAndre Jordan incident years ago, when Balmer allegedly tried to slip DeAndre an extra $200,000 on the side. But people brushed that off as a one-time slip. Not the end of the world. But what if it wasn't just once? What if this is a pattern? According to the Seattle Times, something Balmer did at his own son's high school basketball program is raising eyebrows, and it sounds disturbingly familiar. Back before he even owned the Clippers, Balmer was obsessed with his son's team, the Lakeside Lions. Obsessed to the point of going to every single game, watching as they lost again and again. That year, they won only 2 games total. After one loss, Balmer reportedly snapped and screamed, "Screw this. I'm gonna open up a foundation and we're gonna get new players in here." And that's exactly what happened. A new coach arrived, a coach who allegedly got a secret side job through Balmer's foundation. Suddenly, the program had visibility, money, and a recruiting pipeline. Star players started transferring in. One player was even allowed to coast through classes and live in a $6 million mansion. Overnight, the Laughingstock Lions turned into champions, winning their first district title in 14 years and eventually reaching the state title game. Now ask yourself, does this not look like a pattern? The comparison is brutal. Think of Vivek Ranadive, the Kings owner. He once coached his daughter's middle school team, ran a full-court press, dominated little kids, and thought he was a genius. Fast forward, he gets to the NBA, tries to run things the same way, and ruins the Kings for over a decade. Balmer may be doing the same thing, only this time, with the NBA salary cap. Manipulating, bending rules, finding loopholes. The difference is, unlike the Joe Smith scandal in 2000, where everything was written down and punished with lost draft picks and avoided contract, Balmer's actions are harder to trace. But if the pattern is there, how long can the NBA keep pretending they don't see it? This whole thing may look circumstantial, but that's all the CBA even needs. The rulebook literally says a violation can be proven by direct or indirect circumstantial evidence, even if a contract or agreement simply doesn't make sense on paper. And really, why would any company rationally pay Kawhi Leonard $7 million a year for nothing? That's the million-dollar question. On the surface, Steve Ballmer looked cooked. But then Commissioner Adam Silver spoke to reporters. Perfect timing too, because NBA owners just happened to be in New York for a league meeting. One reporter asked the obvious, "Hey Adam, circumstantial evidence is enough to punish someone under the CBA, right?" Silver's answer? A word salad. He said, In the case of the league, we and our investigators look at the totality of the evidence. I think whether mere appearance, just by the way those words read, I think as a matter of fundamental fairness, I would be reluctant to act if there was sort of a mere appearance of impropriety. Wait, what? Let's break that down. Translation: nah, we're not acting unless we get hard evidence. That's huge. It basically means no matter how much digging reporters do, no matter how much suspicious circumstantial evidence piles up, the Clippers are safe. Adam Silver isn't about to hand out punishment unless somebody drops a smoking gun in his lap. And that's why Steve Ballmer felt comfortable enough to go on ESPN and say, "We're innocent." Honestly, that wasn't even the smart move. The better answer would have been, "Yeah, something shady clearly happened. I didn't know, but somebody did, and I'll find them and fire them." That would have at least made him look like he cared. But instead, Balmer chose to act like nothing happened, because deep down, he knows the truth. These NBA billionaires protect their own, and Adam Silver has his back. But let's switch gears, because for once, there's actually some good news in the NBA. One player wasn't chasing every last dollar, he walked away from it. His name? Larry Sanders. Years ago, he shocked the league by giving back millions just to step away from basketball, even leaving behind a young Giannis Antetokounmpo. At the time, nobody understood. Now, we finally know why he did it, and what he's doing today is nothing short of inspiring.